to another Road to Ripped podcast episode. I'm here with my co-host, Christopher Walker.
What's up, Greg?
You just had a nice tasty meal, eh?
Yeah, it tasted good going in. But I'm about to leave a bad review for this meal.
We did Uber Eats, and we ordered some Caribbean food, and that did not go down well for Chris. We delay our podcast recording. We had to delay it like half an hour for Chris. Well, we're here now, so welcome. And now we're going to talk about we're talking about how to build a really good, solid social circle and how to do like real solid networking. So the first step, don't order some weird funky Caribbean food and then be at a networking event and shitting your pants. Okay. My stomach feels a little iffy too.
Yeah, so if Greg runs out of
if I run out, then we know there's something bad with that food. And our podcast director had it too.
Oh gosh. Yeah, if the camera falls down then.
Okay. Okay.
All right,
We're good.
Bring it back under control.
All right, sorry guys. All right, so
well, we got another quick story. We literally, as we sat down to record this podcast, the house is about to get robbed or something.
Yeah, we had the power. The power got knocked out, and it's beautiful out. And then we heard some crazy noises. Then we go outside, and someone else's house is their alarm's off.
Yeah, they're burglar alarms going off. So we were ready. We had this.
We had Chris's go-to weapon was a tennis racket.
Yeah. I couldn't find a baseball bat.
You couldn't get a pool cue?
Yeah, pool. Yeah.
A pool cue. Oh, we need a baseball bat's better. It's got some heft to it.
Oomph.
Yeah, that to the head won't feel too good.
Yeah.
So it's been a very strange day.
Yeah. Yeah, it has. But all right, let's talk about the social circle.
Yeah.
Because we were just talking about this earlier, so we were like, oh, we might as well record this because we have some interesting thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a lot of people having a good social circle is actually just a part of the human experience, in my opinion, that makes living fun and enjoyable. We're not meant to be isolated.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can build yourself, and it's also something that is a great asset, like a good social circle. Can build you up and make you a better person if you're with the right people. It could also make you a worse person if you're with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully some of the tips that we can give today can help you make sure that you build a better social circle for yourself with the right people.
Yeah, and your social circle exactly. You can, maybe you'll meet your girlfriend through an awesome social circle. Maybe you'll get cool work opportunities. Maybe you'll find a business partner you're going to do work with. Maybe you're going to just have tons of fun and just, so exactly that, the social circle is important. And some people out there, they might be feeling I don't really have that many friends, or I don't really try and make an effort. It's because probably you haven't met the right people that resonate with you. When I was younger, I didn't have as many friends until I really came into myself and I attracted really awesome people.
Yeah, so that's a good point, because I remember even a couple years ago, you were definitely not nearly as social as you are right now. And now Greg is the king of Toronto. And he, we were going out. Greg showed Zach and I a really good time on this trip to Toronto because, we go out and everyone knows Greg. We go to these restaurants, all the servers know Greg. He's got a bunch of friends that, it's oh, let's go to this place and this place. But it's everyone's hooking it up, and it's, it's a really fun time. Would you credit the fact that you kind of learned who you were first, and then that's what ended up attracting all of
once I really became confident in who I am, once I really owned who I am, once I really found my purpose, my focus, and just owned it, and then all of a sudden the right people came to me naturally,
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, even And like Chris was one of like my first like best friends that came into my life before I had like a lot of good, strong, like really good friends. You have those friends that you grow up, that you meet through your upbringing. That's kind of just like
proximity friends.
Your proximity friends. But those, you can have, those can be great. But like sometimes the best friends you meet are the ones you attract organically by being on your purpose.
Yeah, and I think this ties in also to what we're. Oh, you didn't do airplane mode.
I forgot the airplane mode.
Shit.
I forgot the airplane mode.
It ties into what we were talking about with Vince though, with Vince Delmonte on that episode about the relationships. It's like the exact same thing, because it just doesn't just apply for romantic relationships. It applies to just all relationships between, people in their lives. If you basically become the type of person you're trying to attract, right? Whether it's a friend or a significant other, if you become a better version of yourself, and you're always becoming a better version of yourself, you're always going to be around increasingly cooler people and better people.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just kind of the way it works. Yeah.
So you're also not going to be so discontent with being alone, because you become increasingly more comfortable with yourself. That's what I find. Like a lot of people that can't be alone just aren't comfortable with themselves. They don't even know who they are, or they don't like who they are, and then they don't feel like they have any power to change who they are. So they go and they search for their meaning in someone else, and that's kind of it's kind of sad, I guess. But it's there's direct action that you can take if you're in that kind of situation right now, and you listen to this, you have the absolute power to change that whole situation. Like you by just owning it, admit it to yourself that you are letting things happen to you, and you're not happening to things. And you're like, we're going to do an episode on the victim mentality, like destroying the victim mentality. That was one of our most popular shows on the last time we were doing Road to Rip podcast. But you're not a victim. You can do. It's just a choice to not be one. You can create the world around you. You can become whoever you want to be, and you can attract whoever you want into your life.
So it seems like the first step is really like owning who you are, getting on your purpose, your path, finding out like what's the life you want to live. What is it that inspires you? And once you own that, the right people that are on that same frequency will come to you. And then the secondly to that is that, look, the crazy thing about life is that when you're obsessing over something, you usually don't get it. So if you're like, talking about, if you're like kind of obsessing about, I need to find someone, I need to find my purpose through someone. Well, you're not going to attract quality people. You're not going to attract anyone really. So just letting it happen naturally. I was going to say, kind of crazy enough, like, I have a really solid social circle in Toronto, and a lot of times like we'll meet other people, they want to be part of the crew, and most of them don't make the cut. And that's something funny to talk about. You have the same,
which is good though. You don't want everyone making the cut, because then it'll literally degrade the value of the circle.
Yeah,
there should be a process.
There's a process. Yeah. So I guess what we can talk about right now is kind of a few things that people do that kind of sabotage their ability to kind of to network and stuff and build and make really solid friends.
Yeah, so because maybe you're listening to this right now and you're doing some of these things. Well, you might not be doing all of them, but if you're doing some of these things, hopefully you can now become aware of it, that this is, these are things that are indeed sabotaging your efforts, whether people tell you or not, because there's definitely like people do dumb, social faux pas all the time, that the people around them are basically going to silently just be like, yeah, this person's not ready or qualified to be in my presence, which they should be. I seriously agree with it. Like if you firmly know who you are and you know your value, and you recognize that, would you want to be around somebody who could potentially drag that down or jeopardize it?
Right.
Of course not. Right. So put yourself in their shoes. So then go back to, the faux pas. What do you think are the biggest ones? What's like number, maybe not number one, but like what's one of them?
Well, the first one that comes to my head is people that lie.
Well, yeah.
For the ones that flat out lie, try extremely hard to impress, to kind of brag, to try and one up you. And it's like, it's not that easy to tell if someone's being honest.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty easy to see if someone is over the top bragging. I mean, we were talking about this, this morning actually, is that like someone that is become very, very successful, they're not running around slamming it in front of people's faces.
Yeah, we were talking between Greg and I at this point, because we're building businesses and we're on our purpose, and following the missions that we've established. We've come into contact with a lot of awesome people that are currently doing the same thing, the same process, or they've already done it. And one of the things that I've realized is that people like on that wavelength that are going down that road, they never brag. Like, I know people that have built and sold companies and are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I've met billionaires before. They're always like really humble. If they're self-made, they're like very humble people. You would never guess. They would never say anything about it. You always hear from other people about it, like, oh, that so-and-so has done this or that, and like all these amazing things. But the person themselves, if they're self-made and they don't have some kind of like weird insecurity, a lot of people that don't like build their own thing, they have these strange insecurities about like being handed a business, for example, or something like that. But they try to overcompensate by like doing the bragging or arrogance and all that sort of stuff. But for the people that really, are building their thing and they're on their purpose and they're creating and they understand all the blood, sweat, and tears and all the sacrifices and the risks that, financial risks, also relationship sacrifices, time, everything that goes into doing that thing, they're always like very cool, humble people. So, and they're not the ones bragging about stuff.
Like, imagine you meet, like, just to make it like a crystal clear example, imagine you meet Brad Pitt out at a bar. Yeah. So you're going to be running around like, oh, I made this movie, and yeah, I got $300 million in the bank, and oh, I just bought a house here and here, and oh, like, it's like that. What that shows is that you're just massively seeking other people's validation because you don't feel comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like
you need their validation.
You need their validation. Yeah. And obviously, our natural reaction when someone does that is to be like, this person isn't really that cool, or oh, I don't really trust this person because it's not. This doesn't seem natural to be trying to brag this much.
Yeah. Well, it makes you just question whether what they're saying is true. Yeah. And that's where it comes down to lying, where you're like, I don't think that's true, whatever someone's saying.
Well, I've had someone that, like, I don't want to give any examples, but like I've had people that have like told me they've done this, and it's like sometimes it's like it's so their lie is so over the top. It's like, do you really think I'm that stupid? Yeah. Like, you're challenging my intelligence. It's
insulting.
It's insulting. You think I believe this?
Yeah.
And then like I've had times where I'm like, look, you know what? Like, you don't have to like impress me, man. It's cool. Like, but like really, like, I know that's not true. But then like sometimes these people they'll get so they kind of believe sometimes they believe their own lies.
Yeah.
Where they're like. Where they won't let go, and then
like so deep already that they have to just keep going.
So if someone listening, maybe they have this feeling like, oh, like, when I meet people, I always feel like I want to like tell them about this, even if you've done amazing stuff, you shouldn't be pushing it down people's mouths.
No, it's always better for people to hear about the amazing things that you've done from someone else.
Yeah,
where it's like, maybe it's just a good friend of yours or a wingman or whatever, that's why the wingman thing always works.
The wing
it's like, oh, that so and so has done, it's like done this cool thing or whatever, or wrote this book or whatever. It's always a lot cooler coming from someone else. But if the person is bragging about themselves, then it's just off-putting, and it's potentially like people don't even believe it.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're in a situation, because not everyone that's listening to this has even done anything cool. Like, let's just be real. There's plenty of people out there who haven't done anything cool yet. And you might feel a bit insecure about that, right? Because not everyone, there's a lot of fear surrounding people's decisions, and I understand it. And, I know both you and I have had, there's constant fears that come up of like, oh, should I take this risk or should I go do this thing? But the more you actually just take the risk, the more you do it, the more you just recognize the fear and look at it and then just kick it in the pants and just fucking blow through it. The more you do that, the cooler and cooler, more fun stuff you do, and you just kind of like build the life that you really want. You can find, like, even if you're beginning on that journey of overcoming that fear and like identifying what you want and what your mission is and what you're gonna do, if you find other people, if you're clear with all this stuff, you're gonna start attracting other people in your life that are in the same boat where they're like, oh, cool, maybe you're starting an Amazon business. Like you want to sell baby blankets on Amazon because you want to have like this organic cotton baby blanket. It's a better baby blanket than all the ones that are on Amazon. And you're like, oh, well, I'm just starting this off. I'm not successful at it yet, but I'm willing to like invest my time and energy and take this risk, and I really want to make this happen. I guarantee if you start going down that path, within a year, you're going to be surrounded by other people who are like, yeah, I just started an Amazon business, because you're gonna, or another business or whatever, you're going to start to get into these mastermind circles and all this stuff where it's really cool, which doesn't only have to do with business, but can be anything that you're up to, you know, hobby stuff, whatever. You'll start to really just have the same type of people gravitate toward you, and then you go on the journey together. And some people are going to, like, to also just be real, they're not going to make it. Like, some people aren't going to cut the mustard. As you keep growing.
Is that a saying? Cut the mustard?
Yeah, that's a saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay.
I don't even know what it means.
And, I don't get it.
How do you even cut mustard?
How do you cut? Yeah.
But
we need another guy in queue to like research this stuff while we're talking.
Yeah, we need, like, Joe Rogan has that dude who just like pulls stuff up on the screen. Like, hey, Jim, can you pull this thing up on the screen? Find out what mustard is. But basically, what, like, long story short, just get on your own mission, like start doing your thing, overcoming those fears. You're going to naturally have the right people start to come into your life. It's not going to be like next week potentially, but it'll happen. Especially
if you cut the mustard. Yeah. So then let's think about another. So I mean, another point. We talked about a couple things. We talked about, you know, this desire to endlessly brag or try to impress people, and yeah, that shows that you're insecure with yourself, which is immediately. But also it shows that you're just obsessed about yourself, because why not ask questions, learn about other people, and stop even.
That's a good tip.
It's more mysterious.
Yeah, if you remain mysterious, then people become completely intrigued with you, especially if it's like the double whammy where you're mysterious and you're asking them about themselves all the time.
Yeah,
because anyone who like sits and asks other people about themselves, unless it like becomes really annoying, which could definitely happen, but if they're like thoughtful questions and you're actually listening to the answers, people really like those types of people.
Oh my, yeah, absolutely.
Because everyone's, you know, you like talking about yourself.
And part of asking questions isn't like, oh yeah, like so Chris, like, how did you, like, what made you really get into this testosterone stuff, and then like not really pay attention?
Yeah,
you gotta listen. You gotta listen.
You gotta listen, because if someone listens, and if someone asks me a question about something I've done, and they actually listen to the answer, and then maybe they have another good question, I'm like, damn, this guy, you know, like, maybe, and then I'll be more curious about him or her. I'm like, well, what are you up to? Like, what do you want? What do you want trying to do? It's just a natural interaction. Like, it's how things work.
And that's a cool way where if you do, I mean, maybe you're so proud about something you want to share with someone. Well, like, some people will come out of the gate like, yeah, like, anyway, like, you know, yeah, I used to be an Abercrombie model, or like some people come out of the gate. It's like you want to let them bring stuff out of you, you know. And also, you know, don't just, it's too much. So being a really, really good listener, super important. That's going to create that rapport with someone. That's going to, I think in sales training, they, you know, part of sales, like, it's, you know, really asking questions and understanding someone, learning their values, their whatever, their goals, their all that. When you learn all this stuff, and someone, if you and me, the listener, were having a conversation, and you just told me so much about you, and you're talking about stuff that you're passionate about, you're excited about, all of a sudden you're gonna feel really close and connected to me.
Yeah.
But then if all I'm doing is talking about myself, this stuff, and then you're just like sitting there listening, you're gonna have no connection.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's a really good one, and a lot of people don't even realize, you know, to do that. You don't have to force it or make it like, you can't be like, hey, like, I'll pull out like a little book and be like, okay, so let me ask this question here. Yeah. You know, it's gotta be
natural. You gotta listen.
It's gotta be, yeah. It's gotta be, yeah. You gotta listen. It's gotta be natural. You gotta be in the vibe. And I mean, one of the other things, like, I kind of want to mention is that a lot of people are very kind of almost scarcity based, where they're takers, right? Where I mean, I'll tell a little story. I mean, last summer I went to this one bar. You know, I met a few cool guys. They all sound like legit dudes, and we're having fun together and everything. And, you know, and then, you know, we're gonna get a table. at a cool like rooftop place in Toronto. And so we're all going to split it, but you need to put one card down. So I was like, okay, I'll put my card down. And sure enough, as soon as this bill comes, they're nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And then they text me the next day like, hey, it was an amazing night. Like, what's up? What are you up to? Let's hang out. No.
Yeah.
You're cut.
Yeah. You didn't cut the mustard.
You didn't cut the mustard. And you know, so you see that a little bit where some people they just want to they don't provide any value. They're not appreciative. They don't like you buy around. Then if you buy around, then like some of then they won't offer to get you around, or it's just like they just take, and then they don't actually give, and they're like scratching their head, being like, huh, I thought we were having so much fun. Why doesn't this person actually want to hang out with me again?
Yeah, because you're a leech.
You're a leech. You know?
Yeah. And honestly, it's like it's admirable too when people say, because I think a lot of people get into like in the bar scenario or whatever, they get into that scenario, into that position where like everyone's trying to act cool and like seem more important than they are or whatever. But some people, you know, just don't like, maybe you just can't afford to buy a round of, you know, shots or whatever, like, which is fine, it's cool. But a lot of people won't like just say that. If someone said that to me and was like, hey man, no, I just can't afford to get a round of shots, and like I really appreciate that you bought me the shots. I'd be like, oh cool, no worries, it's all good.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will just like kind of feel shy about saying something like that because they feel embarrassed or whatever, but then they'll sit and just keep taking, and then that's where obviously like you haven't communicated any sort of value to the other person, and it becomes like you don't cut the mustard.
Yeah, I even want to tell a quick little story. I was in Miami, and two of my good one of my I had two friends there. Both of them I hadn't spent much time with either of them. I met both of them a few times, and so we go to this restaurant in Miami. I bring a girl I was seeing at the time, and my one friend, names are fine here, Zach. He brought his girlfriend, and then this other guy, kind of dude from Toronto, who's in Miami at the time. He came by, and so at first we're gonna do a big dinner, but then like it didn't happen, so it's just kind of two couples, and I was like, yo, maybe like it's a little coupley, maybe we should do it like maybe we should meet up later or whatever. And he said, no, whatever, I'll come. And so anyways, we have this big dinner, like maybe drinks, everything, and I'm like, you know what, like I want to get this dinner, I want to pay for it, and so I pay for the tab, and so so my friend Zach, like he looks at me in the eyes and he's like Greg, thank you so much. And you could see like it was so genuine. It was like from his whole body. Thank you, I appreciate that. And the other guy just was like, oh yeah, thanks. Didn't even like look in the eyes.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck you. Why did I even buy that shithead some food? And then just dipped away. And then we went out later. Like Zach hooked me up with tons of drinks and everything. So it's a reciprocal thing. And it's like, yeah, if someone is like hooking you up, buying you drinks, just literally just showing them your gratitude. Thank you so much for the drinks. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is huge. And I mean, and then also like sometimes like, I'm sure a lot of people, maybe they've had some parties at their place, this and that, and like maybe they buy some of the alcohol there and they try and show everyone a good time. Then how many of those people the next day actually text you, say, hey, thanks so much for having that party, I had a really good time, like, but probably most of them like don't even bother.
Yeah, no, most people don't.
And the funny thing is about all this stuff, it all comes back to business, really, and life.
Yeah, well, that's why I love entrepreneurship and business in general, because it's such a good teacher, because it teaches you all these principles just naturally, because you have to like become better all the time. You have to become successful, but all of this like plays into it.
Right,
it's pretty cool.
And the other thing, like, yeah, exactly, and like even on this note, even furthermore, I mean, it's always it's good to kind of know like what do people actually want. If you're meeting maybe some really awesome people, like how can you help them? Or it's like people want to have a good time. So if you're in like some negative mood, you're always complaining about stuff, people are not going to want to be around you. If you're fun, you're in a good mood, you're positive, you don't need to be chatty make chatter, but you're just kind of like supporting the vibe, people are going to love having you around. And if you're You know, if you know people and you can introduce like, you know, if you know friends, like introducing, like one of my good friends, Bruce, he just introduces people to everyone. So, you know,
Yeah.
so he brings people in, and so he's like the connector, and like gives him a ton of power because he's the one that's stirring the pot. He's formulating the whole night, and you know, oh hey, this is so and so, this is you, and it's like sometimes people have a scarcity mindset around that, like, oh, like I don't want to lose my friends, or oh, I don't want to introduce this girl to my friends because then, you know, maybe it's like he doesn't care. He just, his thing is just being social, and it all comes back.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he's a good example because Bruce is, you know, he's like a really fun dude to be around.
Yeah.
Everybody likes him.
Yeah, and then yeah, that's you know, that's pretty much it. And like, I mean, we can go even. There's like, you know, it's really not rocket science once you kind of think about think about the situation.
I think a lot of people just overcomplicate it, or they just don't think about it.
Yeah.
And they just think, like I said earlier, they think as though they're a victim to something.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, there's nobody's here, there's nobody cool. This sucks. I'm just gonna, like, you know, stay in my room and play GameCube.
GameCube. I don't know if it's called GameCube. Nintendo Cube. I don't know what it is called. GameCube. Maybe it is GameCube. I don't know.
There's a GameCube.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's I haven't heard that word in so long. It sounded weird. Yeah. Exactly. And then once you really understand people, you can really get a feel for, like, you know, what they want, what kind of stuff they like to talk about, and I don't know, Chris, is there anything that you want to say on this whole topic of kind of building a solid social circle, kind of how to do like pretty solid networking? I mean, it's always great, like when you're meeting someone, like, you know, if you're going to a bar, a restaurant, like, you know, get some drinks, or get around drinks if you can afford it, and then, like, you know,
yeah, no, I think we covered like the foundational elements of it. It's not, if you were to do what we just talked about, you'll be in a much better place, and you'll have a much better social circle in general. That's about it. Like, there's probably more nuanced stuff, but as long as you...
Oh, no, I got another one.
Oh, you do?
Don't be a guy that creeps the girls away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't be that guy. Jeez.
Yeah. No, I've been to some kind of parties and stuff, and sometimes there's like tons of girls, and then there's like one kind of weird, creepy dude that's like makes all the girls feel uncomfortable, and then like that person can never, you know.
Yeah. But it's not even like don't be that guy, but also don't invite someone into your social circle like that if you're trying to preserve it.
Yeah.
And your own reputation, you know, to be honest.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, don't bring in those people. It can ruin things. And then also, like, sometimes you have, you know, sometimes there's people that don't know how to control their partying when they go too hard, and then they get sloppy and weird, and then say stupid stuff, and the next day they like laugh about, like, it's like, dude, no, that wasn't cool.
Yeah, it's not cool at all.
Yeah. We just got kicked out of his bar for 3 months. Yeah. But boom, I think we covered some really solid stuff, man.
Yeah, that was good. So if you liked that episode, definitely make sure that you're subscribed to this podcast in general. If you're not, what are you doing?
What are you doing, man? Yeah. And this episode is sponsored by Redwood.
Sponsored by Redwood. So Redwood is our Truth Nutra formula, all natural nitric oxide boosting. Formulated specifically, like people take it, you know, as a pre-workout. You know, it's pre-workout capsules to get you know, a better workout, a better pump during the workout. So, you know, a nice energy boost. But it's also the reason that we named it Redwood. It's also pretty good in the bedroom for guys that are looking for some blood flow improvement. Even guys that have issues with something like erectile dysfunction. Part of the problem with erectile dysfunction is that you actually, like, your veins are not healthy. The blood flow is not healthy. The nitric oxide production is not healthy. So cardiovascularly, you need some help. Now, when you combine vitamin C and garlic in the right dosage, it boosts nitric oxide instantly by 200%. The nitric oxide production, that's what we put in Redwood, along with horse chestnut extract and pine bark extract, all proven by human research to do that exact thing. So we've had a lot of really, really good stories. A lot of people, like, I've actually literally gotten testimonies from people saying that this saved their marriage. Because, I mean, sex is a very important part of a marriage.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And we have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So obviously, if you're, unhappy for any reason, I only want to serve people and help solve their problems with our truth neutral formulas. So if you're not happy with it, just let us know and we'll refund your money. And so there really is no risk.
And just kind of one final point I want to mention on the topic of the networking, the building a solid social circle. Sometimes what I notice is like if you're meeting someone that just appears like very high level, maybe they're an actor or they've done really cool stuff, and one of the things that some people do is they get kind of nervous around that person. They put them on this pedestal, and then they act kind of weird naturally. Yeah. So if you're viewing someone as like, oh my god, this person's so cool, I want to be his friend, like I want to, like when you kind of look at people through like a hierarchy lens where, oh, this person's up here, this person's down here, it makes all the interactions kind of weird and not genuine,
Well, if you don't see, especially if you don't see yourself on the same level, then it's weird. And then because you instantly don't see yourself on the same level, they're never going to see you on the same level.
Right. It's because it's reflection.
Yeah, you're literally projecting that. So, and then, that's where you see it a lot with, like in Los Angeles, people like running up to these celebrities who are just, they live there. That's their house. That's like their home. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm just trying to get a coffee. Leave me alone. But there's like people running, fangirling over the people, when, they probably a lot of them are like pretty cool people, but they just kind of project like this strange, celebrity thing on everybody. It's even like we're walking around with Greg. Greg, you're a celebrity. We walk around in Toronto and in LA, actually, two of the biggest cities for the Kino body following. And, we've met tons of cool people through that. But there's definitely a distinct, like you can see there's a difference in the people, especially people that come to the meetups are usually really cool. But there's definitely like, you see this dichotomy between like some people just they don't project that they are confident in themselves. And they're not somebody that you would want to like really stand and talk to.
Yeah, the best thing to do is like, and this is what I've noticed with myself when I meet people, and I've made good friends with people that knew of me before I actually met them first, and then I've also met people that I was like, okay, I can't, like, I got to get out of this conversation.
Yeah, like, all right.
And if I was to meet someone like who that was doing all this cool stuff, the thing you do is you don't really talk about. You don't talk about it. Yeah. Because that's all they get. If you're some big actor, everyone comes up to me, oh, Bradley Cooper, like I love this movie. He's like, yeah, how'd you get into this stuff and like this and that. It's like the thing we're talking about where it's good to ask people questions about themselves. Someone that's doing like someone that's maybe this big YouTuber or athlete or this and that, you want to take those questions, like you want to take that away from what they're get bombarded with. They're bored of talking about that stuff all day.
Yeah, well, like ask people questions about something that they're probably interested in. Like, oh, cool, you got that. That's like a pretty cool motorcycle you're riding. Like, well, it's stuff that people have all these hobbies that they love to talk about. Oh, I love golfing, or I love surfing, or I love this and that. It's like if you know about it, to start like asking them a question about it.
I gotta tell you a funny story, man. It's hilarious. Right. I was in LA and so I was going over this guy there. Actually, he's pretty fairly known guy because he's on this reality show or whatever. But so we were going to this one bar and there's this woman there who's the daughter of Hulk Hogan. Do you know her name? What's her name?
No.
Hulk Hogan's. Anyways, but
I know Hulk Hogan's.
So he was just like, oh my god, that's Hulk Hogan's daughter. And one of our other friends introduced us to her. He didn't even know her. He's like, oh hey, like here, these are my friends or whatever. And I told this guy, I told him earlier, I'm like, if we bump into anyone, like don't make a big deal about it. And so he started, like, once he started talking like, oh my god, like you're Hulk Hogan's daughter, she just was unattracted.
Yeah.
She was at first, she was so into him, and then he started talking about how she's this and this, and then her wall went up and she was gone. And like same thing, even if I meet someone and it's like hey, cool, the times I actually bond with people that I meet, like, oh cool, like awesome stuff, and then it's like within a few seconds it's like we're not talking about what I'm doing because it feels like I don't know.
What do you mean?
I mean like sometimes I've met maybe like someone that knows of me, that has a mutual friend with me, and then I'll meet them, and then if they keep just asking about Kinobody, this and this and this, it gets so exhausting. Yeah, it's just like when I've actually bonded with people, like my buddy Ronnie, who's he's doing cool stuff. Like he knew about me, but he didn't really even talk about it, and it was like way more chill that way.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's not like, oh hey Greg, how do you do? What's a proper form for incline bench, or like what if I'm stuck at a plateau? Can you help me?
Dude,
it's just like, oh gosh.
I was at this bar in Toronto a couple weeks ago, and I got a few people approach me. One of the guys that came up to me, he was like, "Oh yeah, like seeing your YouTube stuff." I'm like, "Hey, cool, like really cool to meet you." Like, thank you. He's like, "Yeah." So like, we're at a bar. I'm with my friends, mind you, and he's just like, "Yeah." So like, so tell me about this intermittent fasting thing. Like what are the benefits to it? Why do you do it? I was like, "Hey man, I got a lot of videos on that. You can check them out."
Yeah.
And he's like,
"The YouTube channel's for."
That's the YouTube channel's for. He's like, no, but like, no, actually, no, dude, like, tell me, like, what is it? I'm like, hey man, I'm like, here with my friends, like, I'm not here to spout intermittent fasting knowledge at the bar. Yeah. And then 3 times he's like, no man, like, tell me. I was like, sir, like, I was like, nice to meet you, man. Like, you know.
Yeah. Later.
It's insane, and that some people have such a massive disconnect.
Yeah, like no social awareness.
No social awareness.
Yeah,
because they're only thinking about themselves.
Yeah, like that guy literally was only thinking about what he could get from you. Yeah, he didn't even see blatantly what was in front, or he didn't even hear what you were telling him. Like, like, yo, I'm at the bar hanging out with my friends. I don't want to talk about stuff that I've talked about a million times already. That you could just go watch a video about it. That's why I put these videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't do that if you're listening to this. If you do that kind of thing, then you might want to stop.
Exactly, and Chris and I, we're at the point where we can go out, we could meet like anyone. It could be like a billionaire, it could be like a top professional athlete or actor, and it's like doesn't matter.
Yeah,
well,
it's fun. I like being around really cool people.
I know,
but it's part of being around cool people and staying around cool people is being a cool person yourself and not doing all these dumb faux pas that we just talked about.
Yeah. And kind of realizing that there's not some level hierarchy.
Yeah, well it's like a wavelength or something.
Yeah.
Maybe not a hierarchy, but it's like you kind of attract people that are on that vibrational level. Yeah. Or like have that same energy.
Yeah. You can't be looking at people putting them up on these crazy pedestals and like, oh my god, like, yeah. Yeah. So I think we just finished it though.
Yeah. So we're wrapping it up. We would love any reviews you guys want to leave here on iTunes or Stitcher, Google Play. Any good reviews you want to leave? They mean a lot to us. I've actually read all of them. I like to read them.
Just like 300 and something, right?
Yeah. Well, at the time after the season 1, I think there was like 320 reviews or something. I've read all of them. They're really great. It's great to hear from everyone who's listening. So definitely go write a review. We much appreciate that. It helps with our rankings and everything. Mm-hmm. We're really happy you're listening to this episode. I hope it helps some people and will help empower you to take charge over your happiness, your social happiness, social awareness. And we'll just wrap it up right here. We'll see you on the next episode.
All right. See you guys.